Hello everybody, Dark Skeleton here, and today we're going to talk for 20 minutes about Pompous Thespian. It's an amazing card that has 2 mana, 3/2 stats, and is a taunt minion, which is technically stronger than the Frostwolf Grunt, the 2/2 taunt for 2 mana from the original set. Okay, that's about 19 minutes and 30 seconds short, but it's a card. Maybe it'll be a decent pick in Arena. Beyond that, another card that was actually revealed and a bit more interesting is the Zoobot, a 3 mana 3/3 mech. Give a random friendly beast, dragon, and murloc +1/+1. So this is kind of the common, weaker counterpart to the Curator, which allows you to draw those cards from the deck and give you a 4/6 taunt for 7 mana. And this card has a lower mana cost, but it kind of encourages, as the name sort of implies, that zoo play style. Because if you're playing the Curator as a really late game card, like a Azure Drake comboed with maybe Stampeding Kodo and the Cold Light Seer, whichever one does 2 damage to everything on the field, there's no way you're going to get all 3 of those cards out on the field, and even if you could, you wouldn't really benefit from having a card like Zoobot in there. So this is definitely more for kind of flooding the field, which the whole zoo theme has implied ever since Magic the Gathering. And theoretically, you can get up to 6/6 of stats that this guy brings to the table, which is quite crazy, actually. And if you do happen to get one target, that's still pretty good. A 3/3 that gives +1/+1 to another minion, that's effectively the original Shattered Sun Cleric, which was deemed too strong and had to be nerfed, so yeah, that's not too bad, with the potential of sometimes getting +2/+2 on the field. So I'm not exactly sure if this card's really good enough, but I was kind of playing around with some ideas, and I think the deck which might be able to fit it the best would be kind of like a Beast Druid that has some Splash Murloc and Splash Dragons. Probably not as optimal as just playing straight up Beast Druid, but the idea here is kind of, you have about 3 Murlocs and 3 Dragons in the deck. Your Dragons, of course, Azure Drake, have always been amazing in Druid, so why would you not keep them in there? You eventually build up to a Curator for extra draw in your deck to kind of keep it going. That's one of the problems I think Beast Druid had, that once it goes out of steam, it kind of just falls flat. It's a tempo deck without the ability to really refresh itself. And I was throwing in Dragonkin Sorcerer for fun too, because it does kind of synergize with Mark of Visage. Could also throw in Mark of the Wilds, could take Mark of the Wilds from a Raven Idol as well, in that it makes the spell give a little bit more stats. So Dragonkin Sorcerer, probably not too bad actually. And then for the Murlocs, you might play Sir Finley Murgurgleton. I think that is probably the best option for a Tempo Druid deck, because do you really need the +1 armor from a Druid's hero power? Not so much. I think you could probably do better with like a life tap or something like that. And then the other Murlocs would be Biofin Tidehunter. The Biofin over the non-ooze version, because 1/1 ooze seems a little bit more relevant since it gives you the taunt for blocking, like, I don't know, 4 mana 7/7s or something like that. And then aside from that, kind of playing a pretty standard Beast Druid. Tinkmaster Overspark technically kind of gives you a beast on the field if you hit your own, I don't know, Murloc with it, so that can, in a weird way, tie into Mark of Visage, but that's just me adding some flavor to it. And then, yeah, pretty much beyond that, kind of like a standard Beast Druid, more or less. And Banjol Staghelm, of course, the probably most broken card in Druid right now. Now, of course, this isn't like a legendary deck or anything. This is just me kind of playing around with it. But I think it's plausible that you could build a Zoobot deck sort of like this and make this card pretty decent. Like, sometimes you get 5/5 stats. You probably never get 6/6 stats realistically, because if you already had 3 minions on the board and then you have the ability to play another minion on top of it, you probably won the game, or you're just setting up yourself to get flame striked. So yeah, I think it's an okay card. It's playable. It definitely makes putting Beasts, Dragons, and Murlocs in the same deck a little bit less insane. But I kind of lean towards the school of thought that Curator's definitely going to get played, because drawing free cards, especially when it's 3 free cards, is pretty crazy. But, you know, giving random buffs on the field, when you already have to have like board control tempo, it's trickier to pull that off. So I don't think Zoobot nearly comes close to Curator, but maybe this gives you an idea of where you could go with the Zoobot if you feel like making a deck like that. Now, one last thing before this video gets wrapped up. I would say that Zoobot doesn't actually make that much sense in Warlock, because the thing about Warlocks, Zoo Warlocks, is that a lot of their cards are not beasts, dragons, or murlocs. So you play demons in a Zoo Warlock, like Imp Gang Boss, like Voidwalker, like Flame Imp. And then some of your other cards like Darkshire Councilman are super good, but they're not beasts, they're not dragons, and they're not murlocs. So if you were thinking like, oh, the word zoo in it, that means it'll be super good for a Zoo Warlock. Not so much. I mean, there's a couple cards like that in there, like Direwolf Alpha. Of course, that can benefit from this. But beast, dragons, and murlocs just aren't really the types of cards that current Zoo decks play. But maybe in the future, Zoo or Warlock as a class would be a good choice for this. It's just Zoobot is not going to overshadow the current Zoo decks, not by a long shot. So anyway, I've been Dark Skeleton. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this with me, especially with the deck sample here. Once again, no, it's not super competitive, but it's a thought. And I guess I'll see you guys in my next video, so thanks for watching.